Hello Phototuts, this is Travis King back with another screencast. We're going to be looking at the tutorial of bringing a photograph to life using levels with zones. So we're going to be seeing how we can use a picture, break it down into individual zones, adjust those separately to have an overall better picture at the end. What we're going to do first of all is we're going to open up our image. If it's in a RAW format, all you have to really do is double click on it and it'll open up in Adobe Camera Raw. We're going to be adjusting the overall warmth of the picture and adding a little vignetting to it as well. So first thing we're going to do is go over to our temperature slider here, and we want to increase that to about 8400. That'll give us a little more warmth in the picture. And we also want to adjust our saturation, bringing it down to -48, which actually will take out some of the stronger colors and the saturation in the overall picture. Now with that, we're going to adjust now our vignetting, which can be done up here in the top under the lens correction tab. So clicking on that, and we're going to add a vignetting amount of about -21. What that's going to do is going to bring a subtle darkening into our corners here, a very subtle vignetting. If you look at the preview, if you take that off, and then that's before and that's after, just very subtle. So that's going to be what we're going to work with. Now we're going to open this up into Photoshop, but instead of just clicking on the Open Image button here, we're going to hold down the Shift key on our keyboard, which is going to change that Open Image to Open Object. So that's what we want. We want to open this as a smart object into Adobe Photoshop. So we'll just wait, and once we have that done, there we have our image. Now we're not going to be working on the actual image, but we're going to be making a duplicate layer of it. So we want to right-click on that and duplicate layer. And we can keep that as a copy if we want. You can name it whatever you like. And then once that's done, we're going to right click again and we're going to choose rasterize layer. So this is what we're going to be working on first of all. So we want to maybe zoom in a little bit. So let's say fit on screen. It might be a little bit more, so we can hit Control and plus on our keyboard to come in a little bit more, because we're going to be working on just the road section first of all. We're going to be cutting this out or making a path using our pen tool, just using this road section to start. So using our pen tool, which is over here, we want to click on that. We want to make sure that our pen tool is set for the paths selection. So that's what we're going to do. Now in the tutorial here by Jose, he took out this girl that's walking in the picture. I'm not going to do that, but I mean, if you want to take the clone tool out and the stamp tool or whatever and clone this out, go ahead. For the purpose of this tutorial, we're just going to leave her in there. So I'm just going to draw a very rough outline here of the road using the pen tool. Again, this is very rough. So, okay. Now with our layer finished, we're going to right click on it and make selection. Keep our anti-alias checked off and our feathering radius to 0. And that is going to make a selection of our road. Now with that selected, we're going to go up into our layers area, say new adjustment layer, and down into levels. And this is going to be making a new layer for us. Let's call that road. Okay. Now with the road layer, we're going to be making adjustments to the histogram here, the levels. So we're going to be bringing our black up to the start. We're going to be bringing our white slider roughly to the beginning line here. And then you're going to be making adjustments to the middle layer here, and somewhere in there will be fine. So that's our adjustment levels. So with that done, we have our road is darkened, and of course it has left the rest of the layers alone as well. So our next step, you're going to be doing layers around each of these buildings here. We're going to be separating them into a left building, into a middle building, and to a right building. So I've already gone ahead and done that in another one of my layers here. So I have them separated into each of their individual buildings. We're going to adjust them one by one. So our building left, we're going to do roughly the same that we've done here. We're going to bring down our levels here, make it maybe a little bit darker. So whatever the case may be, you know, whatever that's maybe a little too dark. So we're going to bring that there. We're going to do that the same to our building right. Bring our layers down, maybe darken it up a bit, and bring our midpoint somewhere in there, whatever the case may be. In our building middle, we're going to do the same as well. Let's bring down our white, and let's bring in a little bit darker tone into it. Now, whatever the case may be. So as you can see, we're just individually doing each of these layers separately. So with all of our buildings done here, we're going to do our last steps, and that is going to be working on the sky, because as you can see, the sky itself is blown out. At least it's almost completely white. So we're going to bring some definition back into the sky in our next step here. So let's close down that adjustments level. So what we're going to do for the sky is we're going to right click on the very first layer, not the copy of the rasterized layer, the original image, and then we're going to choose new smart object via copy. So we'll click on that, and that's going to make a new smart object via the copy. We're going to rename that layer. We're going to call it sky layer. And we're going to grab it and bring it to the front by clicking and holding down, bring it all the way to the top. So that's going to be our top layer. So don't worry that it's written over or you can't see what's underneath it, because we're going to mask it out later. So now with that in place, we're going to change just this layer. So we're going to double click it, and it's going to open it up into Adobe Camera Raw again. So our overall temperature we're going to bring down to 6800. Our tint we're going to leave the same. We're going to bring our exposure down to -2.15, and we're going to bring our brightness from +50 down to +8. Our contrast 78, which is going to bring that back up, and our saturation is going to be the same, so we'll leave that the way it is. Hit OK. It's going to prepare our smart object, and you're going to notice right away that our whole picture has gotten really dark. But that doesn't matter, because all we're going to be concerned about is right up here in the sky level. So as you can see, this sky layer has actually brought some definition now into the clouds. Great, that's what we want. We're going to not worry about all this darkness down here, as you're going to see in our next step. So our next step is going to be back to the pen tool, and we're going to be making just a selection of the sky. So let's zoom in a little bit more, and so we can see the sky, and we're going to... How's that? That's a little too far. Okay, so we've made our rough outline of the sky, and we're going to again right-click on that and make a selection. And we're going to keep our anti-alias checked off and our pixels at 0. So now with that selection, we're going to turn that into a mask. I'm just going to use the quick mask down here at the bottom, add layer mask. We click on that, and bang, it's going to make a layer mask. Now, you'll notice right away that because I made kind of a rough outline here with the pen tool, that we have kind of some overhang here in the corners and whatnot. Doesn't look so great. But the nice thing about the mask tool is you can adjust the feathering. Instead of the adjustments, I'm going to bring up my masks level here, and now I can adjust the feathering a bit, and I can bring it in or bring it out to make it a little bit cleaner here, not so chunky. You know, you can do it to whatever you like, but because I've done such a horrible job of outlining here, it's not going to look that great. But you get the idea, is that you can adjust it after using this feathering layer. So do that, make adjustments to that, and close that down, and we'll go back to our sky layer again. So we can see from this tutorial, the idea is to separate our photograph into different zones and adjust the levels separately. If we open and close or highlight and unhighlight and make different areas, we can see that what we've done is kind of changed just each individual side a little bit different color. The road is on and off, and so it makes for an interesting thing. So we can adjust individually these layers. Our overall picture can be better, and the end result will be nice. So bringing a photograph to life using levels and zones.